can only be probed by the neutron only, which is actually the hydrogen dynamics in the material. So that's where this neutron facility is playing a very important role. Okay? In addition, I'd like to say that there's an R&D for the nuclear transmutation is also happening in the JPARC. So let me start from the material and life science. As I mentioned, the neutron and the muon are created at the JPARC. And a neutron is sensitive to the nuclei itself, okay? While the photon is sensitive to the actually electron clouds around the nuclei. So if you have a large number of the electrons, photon is advantageous. However, if you have a smaller number of the electrons, which correspond to like nuclei, including hydrogen, the neutron is much more sensitive. So these two probes are very complementary. And in most cases, the hydrogen dynamics is becoming an important key player in the material science. Therefore, neutron is now becoming much more strong and also like the weighted, long-weighted probe for the material science. And also muon can be used as a magnetic probe, and also used as a small mass, however similar to the hydrogen. However, it's going to decay into the electrons. So it is a very sensitive probe replacement of the hydrogen to study the material and the life science too. So important thing is that within 100 kilometers around the JPARC, we have 4 important probes: the neutron and the muon and the photon and the positron. We can utilize everything at the same one place. And here's actually the base neutron source in the world. Here at the JPARC, we are aiming at the 1 megawatt. In the US, there's a spatial neutron source at the Oak Ridge, which is aiming to run at 1.4 megawatt. And there's already existing machine in Rutherford, Appleton in UK, and there are 2 target stations. But altogether, they were all running at 0.5 megawatt. And in future, in Sweden, they are actually creating a new machine called ESS, European Spatial Source, running at the 5 megawatt. Okay? And there's also discussion a little bit about the particle physics application of this 5 megawatt too. Okay? So this really represents that the Japan is one of the important facilities all over the world. And this is showing the neutron intensity as a pulsed beam. Okay. And it is showing for example, the SNS is at the design power. It is going to create 6 times 10 to the 12 neutron per radian proton powers. However, once we achieve the 1 megawatt, it is going to create 3 times higher the intensity in the neutron pulse. So that's very important actually to the slice in the phase space to look at the materials like the Q omega phase space, or even we can operate this the neutron scattering experiment while for example the battery is being charged or discharging. So such kind of the movie type of the measurement can be done by using a high intensity, world highest intensity of neutron pulse beam. Okay, and this is actually Mercury target sitting at the heart of the ML, Material Life Science Facility. And around that Mercury target, we have 23 beam lines like this, and which can be utilized for many different purposes, but not only material science, but also the life sciences too. And just upstream of the neutron target, we have 4 beam lines for the muon. And the muon can be utilized as I mentioned, the magnetic probe, but also it can be utilized for the fundamental physics, like a G-2 and EDM measurement. sorry about the animation does not really work for this particular slide, but there's a very good example of the industrial use of the neutron at J-Park. Actually, this company called Sumitomo Rubber Industry, you may heard of the Dunlop as rubber industries, but the rubber industry actually combining the photon factory measurements together with the neutron measurements, together with the supercomputer, the modeling and so on, to come up with something called advanced body nano design. So tire requires very, how to say, it is conflicting functions. Like you need to grip the road very firmly, and however it has to rotate very fast. And it has to have the high duration too. So that actually turns out to be corresponding to the different functions of the materials, or actually even a space scale. So each part can be very conflicting, however you can treat it separately. Okay? So that's how they come up with the design of the new material for the high function type. So this was actually released, and it is actually receiving the various awards or prize from for example, the Prime Minister, as well as actually he was also got some award in the European Society too. So this kind of usage is now becoming more fashionable these days. Okay? And then it's a part of the this science group at the MLF. So hard matter, they are dealing with the strongly correlated material like contact properties, and liquid and soft matter like polymer soft material, and so on. And energy material like hydrogen and absorbing material batteries and so on. Engineering material like residual stresses and structure sensitive material. And bioscience like fundamental science as well as bioapplication. And as I mentioned, the life science, and as well as the industrial application. Okay. And there are many, actually, the press release out of the MLF last year. And there was 12 actually press release out of the MLF. While we have one press release from the T2K experiment. Okay. Yeah. And this is actually, they took the first step to elucidate the neutrinos CP symmetry break. So that was really big news. And there are more news came from the MLF. And where you can look at those lists, and the it really related to the batteries and also the proteins, and also the high pressure research, and many more. And so there are many things we could do. But one of the things we are really exploring there is one thing is that geoscience, by using a sort of high pressure machine, beamline of the planet, and it is actually simulating the high pressure environment just beneath the core of the mantle area, where actually this is looking for the place of the water. Okay, there's already some indication or indirect measurement that about the 3 times of the water on the surface of the Earth exists inside of Earth. Okay. Where and how it is actually located? That's the biggest question. And there's an effort to actually explore that. Okay, so this is one of the examples of how broad science that the J-Park can cover. And this is actually, sorry about the German slide, but this is for the battery researchers too. In addition, we have a development of the accelerator-driven system for the nuclear transmutation. Okay? So there's actually some grand plan to make that happen within a reasonable time scale too. Coming back to the particle physics, we are really exploring the flavor physics. And which will be explained by the professor in the next talk in more detail. And so let's leave all of the physics dump into Kobayashi-san in the next talk. And then I will be describing about this muon G-2 in the rest of my talk. Okay? Before going to that, it is very important to invite Kajita-san to many places. And we invited him to Tokai village, and he actually communicated with a lot of the young students in Tokai village, and he had a really good time, and they had a really good time. And even there was a very, very good question from the junior high students. What is the origin of Mars? Okay? So that's the kind of thing we would like to see happening here too. Okay. So coming to the mirror spin. Okay. Now I'm going to talk about the G-2 and the EDM. G-2 and also the EDM, those are really just a fundamental aspect of the particle, and which can be related to there are many things, but within supersymmetric mass matrix, there's only a different element of this mass matrix. However, specific thing different between the G-2 and the EDM is that the EDM violates time and parity. Therefore, assuming a CPT, CP is also violated. Okay? So, if you find this EDM, it is a big discovery. Okay? And also we know that there's a big discrepancy between the standard model prediction and the measured value of the G-2. Okay? So that's already showing that the mu may be somewhat peculiar to actually study of. Okay? And as a final report from the Brookhaven measurement for the G-2, it actually was showing that the more than 3 sigma difference between the measured value of the mu and standard model prediction. Okay? And we need to actually explore further, and preferably by new methods. Okay? And this is the Feynman diagrams contributing to the A to be different, I mean the G-2 to be more than 0. Okay? And of course, the one of the dominating term here is called Schrödinger term. And while we are trying to measure the coupling between photon and the muon only, there's another photon is come and go. Okay? And this photon could actually convert into the E+A loop, and this could continue as a higher orders. Okay? And this is calculated very precisely down to the level of 1 parts per billion, and which is actually also part of the 1/1000. Okay? And there's a contribution called hadronic QCD related the contribution too. This photon could also convert into QQ bar, and the QQ bar could go into hadrons and converge into photon again, okay, to be absorbed into the muon here. So this diagram is also leading contribution to the G-2, and which is now known to be order 0.41 ppm, but it should be improved further. For the weak part, and of course, while we are trying to come up with a coupling between photon and the muon, it could convert into neutrino emitting a charged the weak boson, and then couple here. So this can be also calculated down to the level of 0.02 ppm, and it is computed at the level of minus 9. And we are regularly having a discussion with the many theorists about this new physics. But well, G-2 is really representing a serious discrepancy between the standard model, and we really have to explore further, not only by the measurement but also from the theoretical calculations too. So that's why we have 2 different approaches. At the Fermilab, there's a continuation from Brookhaven measurement, and that was actually based on the CERN experiments to measure the G-2. It's a huge ring, the 14-meter diameter, and another thing is actually the J-part business. And the J-part, as I'm going to describe further, we are going to do the muon stage within just this size. So it is now trying to create this beamline of electric material life science. which was originally designed for the material life science, but we are utilizing it for the fundamental physics like G-2. And let's see, I'm sorry that this animation doesn't work very well, but by using this technique, we can measure the G-2 and the EDM at the same time from the same sample. Okay, and this wiggle with the decay curve is actually, this pitch is showing the G-2, precession due to the G-2, a little bit larger magnetic moment. For the EDM, this pitch is corresponding again for the G-2 oscillation. However, the amplitude is corresponding to the EEM size. Okay? So our measurement can be as sensitive as 100 times more sensitive compared to the previous measurements. Okay? So the difference between two methods is that both are measuring this so-called precision frequency vector. So how the spin direction is going to be deviated from the momentum direction. That's the measurement we have been doing. Okay? And then that vector can be they are rotating around the magnetic field with the G-2 as a coefficient. And there's also a term that the beta cross E. Beta cross E can be also seen as a magnetic field. However, with a different coefficient here. Okay. And here's the EDM part. If we have an EDM will rotate around the electric field and also around the beta cross B. Okay. So Fermat and the Brookhaven approach was to actually eliminate this term by choosing the gamma to be some good number, so-called magic momentum. By taking a gamma to be 29.3, corresponding to the momentum of the 3.09 GeV, you can actually make this term close to 0. Okay. So you can eliminate this term. And then this term was also neglected because of some consideration. Okay. Then they could simplify this formula down to this level. So when you measure the precision frequency rather precisely, with the precisely measurement of the magnetic field, you can extract the G-2 value very precisely. That's the concept of the textbook measurement of the G-2. Okay. So now the new concept. Yeah, we eliminate the electric field. Okay. So then we can simplify only two terms. One is rotating around the magnetic field. The another rotation is around the rotation axis, the orthogonal to the magnetic field. This is actually the direction of the radial directions. Okay. So we should be able to measure these two vectors at the separate measurement. In that sense, we can measure the G-2 and the EDM at the same time. What's different? So why we doing a different measurement? Initially, the muon is always created as a tertiary beam, not even a secondary beam. So that's why this beam is widely spread over the phase space. So that's why we need to apply the magnetic field, focusing field. And the focusing field shouldn't be magnetic because there's a precisely measured magnetic field which shouldn't be actually contaminated by any additional magnetic field. So that's why the previous measurement has to apply the electric focusing. Okay? Now, in our case, here we create the ultra-cold muon, which can spread only up to 10 centimeter over 10 kilometer of travel. Okay? So by using this, we can eliminate the electric field, any focusing field. Okay? So that's why we can choose any momentum as a magic moment. So this is the new magic.